Well, hi there, everybody. Good morning to meteorologist Travis Klineski on this Monday morning. Happy Columbus Day to all of you. It's a sun-filled day out there. It's going to be once the sun comes up here. As of the time of this recording, we're still about a half hour away from sunrise. High pressure is kind of broadly over this area right in here this morning in western Nebraska. Very, very light winds, if not calm, and then a light northerly wind east of that that high pressure. That high is going to scoot into central Nebraska later today. And we'll see continued very light winds, a light northerly wind out ahead of it, a light southerly wind behind it. Lots of sunshine. A really nice afternoon out there. A little chilly this morning, but a really nice afternoon on the way. It is going to be about 10 degrees cooler than yesterday, but still nothing to complain about out there. Tonight, the weather remains quiet. The high scoots off to the southeast. We'll see a light southeasterly wind develop tonight through tomorrow morning, but it'll stay less than 10 miles per hour, so not looking at any big breezy conditions out there. Now, as we get into tomorrow, we'll still see mainly sunny skies, a few clouds around, but the winds will pick up a little bit more out of the south and southeast tomorrow. You can kind of see those winds blowing here. And those winds are going to be blowing about 10 to 15 miles per hour. Some gusts up near 20 to 25 miles per hour. So a little breezier on your Tuesday. Tuesday night, there's an outside chance of rain in here. This model doesn't have anything, so I'm keeping it out of the forecast for now. We're likely going to stay dry and not quite as cold out there Tuesday night and a Wednesday morning. Some milder air coming in. We're actually going to see a warming trend through the middle of the week here. But big changes will come Wednesday night. Wednesday itself, it's going to be pretty quiet, but Wednesday around or after supper time, things will start to change as rain and thunderstorms develop, and there's even a chance of severe weather Wednesday evening. The Storm Prediction Center highlighting this area and a marginal risk of severe storms, central eastern Nebraska, northern portions of Kansas here, and wind and hail will be your primary threats here. And in fact, they're already talking about a day 4 outlook for this area right in here. We've got a big time low pressure system that's going to make its way across the area Wednesday night through Friday. And it's going to bring all sorts of weather to the areas I'm going to show you in just a little bit here. Well, let's take a look at the highs for today, which will be cooler than yesterday. Not much to complain about. This is a pretty average October 9th day. Temperatures topping out in the low to mid 60s to the north and east, upper 60s around the Tri-Cities, low and mid 70s farther to the south and to the west. Tonight, we'll dip back into the mid to upper 30s and low to mid 40s, kind of similar to what we're seeing out there this morning. A warmer day tomorrow as most of us get into the 70s for highs, perhaps close to 80 here towards the southwest. And then tomorrow night, not quite as cold, 40s and lower 50s, maybe even a few mid 50s in the far southeast, so not quite as cold as the last several mornings. Wednesday's highs, pretty warm for most of us, a little cooler up to the north here as we're going to have a frontal boundary in the area. So 60s here, which isn't bad. 70s for most of us, even some low and mid 80s as you get into northern Kansas and southern portions of Nebraska as we begin to see the transition happen later on this week here. In fact, before I even get into the 7-day forecast, I want to take a look at some of the long-range forecast models. So first, this is the national temperature trend here. Watch what happens here. Now, again, we've got decent weather today. It's cooler. That cooler air kind of backing into our area from the Great Lakes. So we're a little cooler today, but not bad. And then we'll warm it up tomorrow and Wednesday, and then look what's loading up to our north and to our northwest as that all wraps around the tight area of low pressure Thursday into Friday. We're going to get colder at the end of the week, and this weekend looks pretty chilly as well. And then next week, temperatures will eventually start to recover. By the middle of the week, we start to warm back up just a little bit here. So very interesting second half of this week. Let's take a look at a couple of the long-range forecast models. Again, pretty quiet today and tomorrow. I'll even back it up here back to Tuesday real quick here. I'm kind of keeping an eye on Tuesday evening, southeast Nebraska. Like I said, I kept it out of the forecast for the Tri-Cities, but southeast Nebraska will watch. My model didn't show anything, but the European model is. But then Wednesday evening, this is when new thunderstorms develop, and that's where that chance of severe weather comes into play here, especially for these areas right in here. This storm system becomes more organized heading into Thursday. The biggest question about Thursday is the dry slot. If this storm system tracks right over top of us or farther south, we're wet. Lots of wet weather. But if this thing shifts north, a big dry slot's going to come into south central Nebraska Thursday. Meanwhile, this could be a good setup for some severe weather over eastern portions of Nebraska right in here. And then on the back side of the system, there it is there. Rain, cold rain, and possibly some wet snowflakes mixed in over western Nebraska. Now let's take you through Thursday night and Friday as we get the colder air side of things starting to shift more to the east. Again, there's that dry slot pushing into eastern Nebraska. Here's Friday morning. And then chilly, wet, possibly wet, and windy. The winds could be quite strong on Friday. We could be talking about wind gusts out of the northwest at up to maybe 45 miles per hour or higher. And if you throw in some rain with that, it will not be a real pleasant day for Friday. Once the system moves out of here, the weekend looks quiet. We'll stay pretty quiet through the middle of next week. Not a lot to talk about there. GFS forecast model. Quiet today. Tomorrow evening, again, watch southeastern areas. But Wednesday is evenings when things turn more interesting with that severe weather threat. We'll have to keep an eye on that. And that's because there is a warm front right here. Warm front right there. Low pressure, cold front. Cold front, surface trough right here, almost a dry line really. Warm front. This is a classic low pressure system with the severe weather on one side. And this is more of what you'd see in the spring, but you sometimes see it in the summer. You have the severe weather on one side, and on the back side you have the colder air with the chilly rain and then the transition to snow out there. So the warm front lifts northward, taking the chances of thunderstorms with it. The biggest thing now is where does this low pressure go? If it's farther north, we could be getting dry slotted with much of this. Right ahead of that low, good recipe for some severe weather on Thursday evening in eastern Nebraska. There it is on the backside, the rain, the chilly rain and the transition to snow. On the cold, windy, cooler side, wet side of things on the backside of the system. Thursday night into Friday, we get in on some of those chilly showers here in south central Nebraska, very windy conditions, not a pleasant day on Friday. Things will dry out this weekend as the system departs, quiet weather through at least the middle of next week. We'll see, this model's kind of hinting at some stuff. We'll see, but I'm going to go with quiet weather all the way through Wednesday after that. Well, let's take a look at that 7-day forecast real quick here now that I've kind of summed up the long-range forecast models. Again, very nice weather today outside of the chilly weather this morning, an average October 9th day. Warming up the next couple of days, a little more wind around. Then comes that chance of severe weather as the warm front lifts northward on Friday or on Wednesday evening. So we'll watch that severe weather threat. Still a chance of rain and thunderstorms Thursday. A lot of that depends on the track of that low pressure system. And we'll probably see a large range in temperatures across the area on Thursday. We could see very cool weather out west, much warmer weather across the eastern part of the state. Here in the Tri-Cities, we're going to be somewhere in between. I think we could see anything from upper 50s to 70s here in the Tri-Cities area. Just a lot of that depends on the exact timing and track of that system. We'll get in on the cooler side of that system though by Friday. We are cold, very windy. We could see gusts over 45 miles per hour and still some lingering showers, which could be miserable. I don't think we'll see cold enough weather for snow, though, here in the Tri-Cities area. The weekend for now looks pretty quiet, though, with highs in the 50s. It's going to be a cool weekend out there. Lows will be down in the 70s. After the weekend, still kind of coolish on Monday, but then it starts to warm back up as we get towards the middle of next week, back into the 60s. So kind of an interesting storm system coming up at the end of this week. Hopefully we'll get a little more detail of that as we get a little bit farther along down the road, especially I think by Wednesday. The other thing to keep in mind, by the way, with Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, it is high school state softball here in Hastings, Nebraska. Starts on Wednesday. I think the weather will be fine for most of those games Wednesday. If there's any evening games, that's where things could be a little more up in the air. But Thursday, on the other hand, is a kind of a big if. There could be a good chunk of the day that's actually dry Thursday, which could certainly help things out. But if it's wet, then that will not be good. And if there are any games that have to be delayed to Friday or have to be played on Friday, it's not going to be a nice day at all on Friday. Now, they moved the state championship game, the final game, to Omaha on Monday of next week. So at that point, the weather will be fine on Monday. But yeah, the Thursday-Friday time frame could be kind of ugly, so we'll see how things play out there. So, all right, well, I am going to let you all go for today. Thank you all for watching. I will see you all again on Tuesday. Take care, and God bless.